The day of the will reading was supposed to be the day my humiliation became complete. My daughter, Vanessa, made sure of that. She arrived in her bright red dress, designer heels, and that cruel little smirk she inherited from her father. My ex-husband, Richard, had died 2 weeks earlier. 20 years of marriage, and I was left with nothing but divorce papers, alimony scraps, and a house I could barely afford to maintain. But Vanessa, she couldn't wait to watch me crumble. She had always been his favorite, the golden child. I raised her, nursed her through sickness, and sacrificed my career to be there for her, only for her to turn into her father's mirror image, cold, calculating, and obsessed with wealth. She hadn't even called me once since the funeral, but she had no problem calling the lawyer, confirming the time, and making sure I'd be there. Not out of courtesy, out of curiosity. She wanted to see me squirm. When I walked into the lawyer's office, I felt every eye in the room glance at me with pity. Richard's sister, his business partner, and Vanessa sat in a line like a firing squad. The lawyer, an old man named Mr. Hamilton, nodded politely. Vanessa leaned back, smirking. "Mom, I didn't think you'd show up," she said. "I mean, Dad made it clear you weren't exactly in his good books." I smiled, calm. I came to hear what he had to say. After all, we shared 20 years. She laughed lightly, sipping from her coffee. 20 years of taking, maybe. You should be grateful he even let you keep that old house. Her words stung, but I said nothing. I had learned long ago that silence is more powerful than anger. I sat still as Mr. Hamilton began to read. The will was long, detailed. Business assets, real estate, investments, all listed one by one. Richard had been worth more than I realized. Over 20 million, all told. When my name didn't come up after 10 minutes, Vanessa's grin widened. She even turned to whisper something to her aunt, who chuckled softly. It was the kind of cruelty only the wealthy can perform. Public, elegant, intentional. Mr. Hamilton paused to clear his throat. "To my daughter, Vanessa." She straightened her back like a queen receiving her crown. "I leave the family home, the Bentley, and a trust fund of $10 million. She gasped, pretending to be modest, though her eyes gleamed. "To my business partner, Simon, $5 million. Simon nodded solemnly. "And to my ex-wife, Mary." Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Here it comes," she muttered under her breath. The sympathy note. Mr. Hamilton's voice deepened. "I leave something that will surprise everyone." The room shifted. Vanessa's laughter froze mid-breath. I looked up slowly, my pulse quickening. "I leave her the controlling shares of Hamilton and Pierce Holdings, 45% ownership effective immediately." The room went silent. The words hung in the air like thunder that hadn't struck yet. Vanessa's mouth fell open. "What?" she whispered. Mr. Hamilton adjusted his glasses. "You heard correctly. Mrs. Mary Pierce now owns 45% of the company." The sound of Vanessa's manicured nails tapping against the table echoed in the silence. "That's not possible," she said sharply. "Dad would never do that. He said she ruined him." I turned to her, calm. "Apparently, he changed his mind." She glared at me, her voice cracking. "He hated you. He said you were the reason he lost the company in the first place." Mr. Hamilton continued reading, ignoring her outburst. "My ex-wife, Mary, stood by me when I was nothing. She helped me build the company, raise our daughter, and sacrifice her dreams so that I could chase mine. I made many mistakes, but she was the one person who never stopped believing in me. I owe her everything. And so, I give her the power to protect the legacy we built." Vanessa slammed her hands on the table. "This is insane. She's going to ruin everything." The lawyer looked at her, his tone unflinching. "Miss Pierce, your father was very clear in his instructions." I said nothing. I just sat there, breathing, feeling the warmth of justice for the first time in decades. I could see the fury building behind my daughter's fake smile. She stood up, towering over me. "You don't deserve this, Mom," she spat. "You didn't earn it." I stood up too. "Did you?" Her eyes widened, and for a moment, I saw fear, real fear. Not because she'd lose money, but because she realized her world, the one she built on her father's favoritism, was collapsing. The meeting ended, but her tantrum didn't. She followed me into the hallway, her voice trembling with rage. "You think this changes anything?" You think I'll just let you take what's mine? I looked at her, calm and cruelly serene. It was never yours, sweetheart. You just thought it was. She stared at me, speechless. The girl who once laughed at me when I cried during the divorce now couldn't form a sentence. That was the first victory, but not the last. Because what she didn't know yet was that Richard left me something even more powerful than shares, something that would make her come crawling. A week later, the world of Hamilton and Pierce began to shift. My signature was required for every major decision. I held the power to approve budgets, contracts, and executive promotions. Vanessa had been set to inherit her father's position on the board, but my vote, my single signature, stood between her and everything she wanted. She called me, trying to sound composed. Mom, maybe we can talk. You know, about the company, I smiled into the phone. I'm listening. I think we should share control. You don't understand how these things work. I can help you. Help me? I said softly. The way you helped me during the divorce? She sighed. Mom, don't do this. I'm not doing anything. Your father already did days past, and she grew desperate. Her trust fund was tied to the company's profits. Profits I now controlled. I froze all unnecessary expenses, ordered audits, and cut bonuses. Her lavish lifestyle began to crumble. The same daughter who mocked my old car now couldn't pay her mortgage. Then, one evening, she appeared at my doorstep. No red dress, no arrogance, just a trembling woman with swollen eyes. Mom, she whispered, please, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those things. I didn't mean them. I looked at her for a long moment. You said I'd never get anything, I said quietly. You said I was worthless. She shook her head, tears spilling. I was angry. Please, just let me stay on the board. I'll do anything. There it was, the word I had waited decades to hear. Anything. I let her in, made her tea, and sat across from her. You always thought power came from money, I said, but it comes from patience. From surviving long enough to watch karma do its work. She sobbed into her hands. Mom, please. I leaned forward. Your father's final instruction was clear. You get nothing unless I approve it. You built your world on his favor. I built mine on survival. And now you're living in mine. The silence that followed was delicious, heavy, eternal. As she sat there, broken and begging, I realized something. Revenge isn't loud. It's not fire or fury. It's the quiet smile you wear when those who wronged you finally understand what they did. That night, as I closed the door behind her, I felt lighter than ever. For the first time in years, I didn't just win. I ended the war. And the best part? She'd never see it coming. Because I wasn't done smiling. Not yet.